Everyone, let's please stand for a moment of silence and the pledge. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our March 30th, 2021 meeting. We'll begin with the approval of minutes, March 23rd, 2021.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. First and a second. Any comments? Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Next will be Commissioner reports and comments. Vice President Baker.
Not a whole lot here today. I would just like to reiterate some of my comments from last week on keeping the Cascade and Hancock schools open. I think it's very important that our school board members really think about the impacts that they would make for those communities forever. If those community schools were to ever be changed, and just the impacts on the parents, the kids, and all of that. And I just think it's going to be extremely important to keep both of those schools open. I know I'm going to be, I know I don't have a vote, but I know in my heart that I completely support keeping both of those schools open. Also, if you go up around Hancock, you'll see there at Martha's house, she's doing all that she can, Mrs. Cahill's doing all that she can to let the community know the importance of keeping those schools open. She has a mascot there. She's putting former athletes' jerseys in her windows, and just continually working towards keeping those schools open. And I just think that's going to be extremely important for both of those communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kiefer?
Yes, I have a couple comments here. One, I wanted to remark on the passing of Washington County's most senior citizen. Mrs. Ruby Staley passed away on Sunday at the age of 112. In June, she would have been celebrating her 113th birthday. And at her age, when she passed, she was the oldest Maryland resident. And from some searches I've done online, she may have been the 15th oldest resident in the United States at the time. So, Mrs. Ruby Staley, one of my most favorite things I've done as a county commissioner was to attend her birthday party when she turned 110. Became a super sanitarian, and also when she turned 111, I was invited back. 112 was during COVID, and nobody was allowed to participate. I saw in the newspaper her family remarked her secret to a long life had to do with always finding the good in people and eating chocolate. So may that be a lesson to us all. Would also like to follow up on Commissioner Baker's comments about the Hancock and Cascade school closings. My heart breaks for those communities. And this is the second year of turmoil that those communities are having to face. Last year with COVID, and we're still coming out of COVID, and the uncertainty with their students and online and digital learning. And now they're worried about their children's future yet again for a second year. I do hope the school board decides sooner rather than later to make a decision. I know they are awaiting information on a school committee, the FIAT committee. If they know in their hearts what they want to do, don't let those communities suffer any longer than they have to. Schools are often in our communities the largest economic driver, and if those schools were to close, that affects our tax base. That affects our ability in Washington County to fund the school system. So I know our Board of Ed is focused on education. That's what they're elected to do. We're focused here as a county commissioner, how much our community is woven in together and how one decision impacts the entire community. And if these schools close, I really think it's going to impact our tax base. It's going to impact our ability to bring in employers into our communities, and it'll impact our revenue, and that impacts everyone. My third and final comment has to do with a question, I suppose, for John, Sarah, or Kirk, whoever can answer it. The City of Hagerstown police dispatchers, I know that's an issue that goes unresolved. The dollar amount's about $400,000 a year. We're coming to a close on fiscal year 21, and the city has not paid the county, reimbursed us that dollar amount. We're coming up on fiscal year 22 rather quickly, and that amount will double. So could you provide any kind of update for us, Sarah?
Sure. You're correct. The City of Hagerstown pays us about $405,000 annually for those dispatchers. That invoice goes out to the city in May of every year for the year. So last May in 2020, that covered July 1 of 2019 through June 30 of 2020. That bill has not been paid. And then another invoice will go out for fiscal year 21 this upcoming May for the period of July 1, 2020 to June 30 of 2021. And it's $405,630 is the amount each year.
To my fellow commissioners, I mean, this is an issue that's going to be compounding here within the next month or two. And I have a few ideas of how I think we should proceed, but I'd like to see if my counterparts have any comments.
I think, go ahead.
No, good one. Go ahead, Randy.
You know, I agree with you 100%. I did the math a while back, and it's over $600,000 value for $400,000. We have 2 people dedicated full-time. I would leave it up to agreement by the commissioners and what staff recommends to get that money, but I'm open to anything. I have to pay my debt. Everybody pays their debt. They're supposed to, so that's sort of the way I feel about it.
Okay. And there is some sort of contract that's been drawn up to present to them, Mr. Downey. Has that been presented to them?
There is a draft MOU that would memorialize in writing the agreement that was reached between the city and the county over 10 years ago when the 911 dispatch center was consolidated. I did present a copy to the city administrator.
Kirk, is that dollar amount still $400,000, or have we adjusted it? As Randy said, the value of the service we provide is greater than it was 10 years ago.
That is correct.
So is it still $400,000?
The amount is subject to negotiation. Obviously, the city has taken the position that this was never meant to be an agreement in perpetuity. Obviously, our position is that we disagree because this was an agreement that was made for the economic interest of both parties. It saved both parties money going forward in perpetuity, and our position has been that the city should honor its obligation, whether that's agreeing to pay the original amount that was agreed to back in 2010 or so when the consolidation occurred, or an updated amount that reflects the increased cost that has occurred over that decade, and for which the county bears the burden and the city gets the benefit.
All right, so I guess we're suggesting that contract should be presented to them again and resolved.
I would go so far as to say, this is me speaking, we need to set timelines with when we expect fiscal year 21's payment, when we expect fiscal year 2022's payment. I would assume sometime in July we would expect that. And if the city's not willing to continue on with that agreement, I mean, unless they can find somewhere an agreement that the commissioner signed back then when I was not a commissioner, that it was meant to be temporary. From my understanding, it was not meant to be temporary. From speaking with the staff who were transferred over at that time, the staff who were well involved in this discussion back then, it was a permanent basis because, as you say, it is a huge value to the city of Hagerstown. I think maybe we look at handing that back over to the city. Not cold turkey, give them a 6-month deadline, a 6-month transition period after our deadline's not met. If they want to take back over the city police dispatchers, I want to make sure our employees know that they will be transitioned somewhere else into the 911 operations center with their jobs, so we're not doing away or eliminating any of our staff members, but maybe we've come to the point where that needs to transition back to the city if they don't see the value.
All right, very good points, thank you. Commissioner Kiefer, any other comments?
That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Wagner?
Good morning. I've said it all last week, and I'm still in agreement with Commissioner Baker and Commissioner Kiefer on the school situation. You know, I can sum it up, and Commissioner Kiefer summed it up pretty well, that I'm not in the business to crush communities. And from my life as a real estate, I know that will crush a community when there's no schools. People are driven to communities by schools, and they're not going to move there. They're not going to do anything if there's not a school. I do agree that burden lies on the school board, and I also agree that I would hope they'd make a decision soon. So that's pretty much, I said it all last week, and I think Commissioner Baker and Kiefer summed it up pretty well. We just talked about the city of Hagerstown, so on a brighter note, I was able to attend a few that I would encourage everybody to get to one, the Vietnam War Veterans second annual commemoration. Our Vietnam veterans were there. It was a pretty good crowd for the middle of the day yesterday, and I thought that was a very nice function. I was able also to attend Mass Vaccination Center out at the outlets. Well organized. Kudos to everybody that was involved in that. County, National Guard was heavy presence there, which was very impressive, and I hear it's going really well for their opening. And probably the best event I've attended in a while, and I like Commissioner Kiefer. Was that Mrs. Ruby? Is that Mrs. Ruby?
Ruby Staley.
Ruby Staley. I got to keep that chocolate in mind because I eat enough chocolate. I might beat her on a longevity, but I doubt it. We attended, or I helped organize with the help of Krista and Danielle and PR a birthday. A lady wanted to work at Fairchild. She's 103 years old this past weekend, and she wanted to come out and see some of the airplanes that she worked on, the PT-19 trainer, for example. Long story short, the museum was closed, so the family contacted me. I called the museum. I knew the guys pretty well. They opened the museum for her, and like I said, Danielle brought out, with the help of Krista organizing, a cake with an airplane on it, balloons, and they had WDVM, Herald Mail, and of course our PR department there. This lady actually got around better than I do, I think. She wandered around there looking at those airplanes for 45 minutes.
She probably eats a lot of chocolate too.
Yeah, she probably eats a lot of chocolate, but she was very happy. The family was happy, so that was a real fun experience to be able to do that for somebody. And they had a poster blowed up there, and she was looking at that thing for about a half hour, and she recognized her sister in it from back then. So anyway, I want to welcome, I guess hopefully in a couple weeks, I don't know, the Senate has to confirm our new commissioner. I think the governor, am I correct, already okayed that, Charlie Burkett? And so I want to welcome him. He'll probably be up here with us, if the Senate's okay with it, probably in about 2 weeks. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. In regards to Mrs. Staley, there's a family connection with her and my family. My brother and one of her relatives are best of friends. And Wayne, you were there on her 111th birthday with my brother in the background. I didn't know it till I saw the picture. So kudos and thanks to her for such a long life. For my report, I did attend the opening of the Mass Vaccination Center. Thank you, Governor, and all the staff who brought that facility to Washington County, to Western Maryland, to Hagerstown. I also attended the event with Mrs. Clever at the Aviation Museum, going through some of my photographs. I also was at her 100th birthday celebration at her house, family's house down on Jordan Road. And I also did attend the event at the Vietnam War Veteran Monument. Events like that in today's world are always important, more than ever. So kudos to all those people that helped raise the funds and got that monument up. In regards to our schools, I do hope the school board sooner than later decides just to go ahead and open those schools. The economic impact in destining those two communities to be desolate and ghost towns is dramatic when you close a school. And the economic impact on the rest of the county, why should the other communities care? That economic impact will also fall upon the other communities. So keeping Hancock and Cascade schools open is important. One of the ideas I was throwing around this morning to Commissioner Kiefer and John was perhaps we could develop some type of special incentive package for business relocation or expansion up there to further express or expedite economic development, which being people for jobs and moving in with homes. I know that might not be fair to the other communities, but with the dire situation of their schools being closed to create economic development and more jobs and people moving in, I think would be important. Not something I want anybody to agree on today, but just a thought, how we would maybe prepare a special incentive package for businesses already there to expand or to recruit new with the industrial park and possibly a ramp being built up there in Hancock and the future development of Cascade underway. I think that might be a way to solve future school classroom sizes by bringing in economic development and people living where they work. In regards to the city of Hagerstown, they owe us a bill, we need to pay it. We're soon gonna be up on doubling the amount, so we should submit that contract to them and begin negotiations to close that out. And I think Commissioner Kiefer is right on. If they're going to be reluctant on accepting that obligation, we did have a commissioners meeting where we brought in people who were involved in those negotiations 10 years ago. It is the intent that that money was to be paid in perpetuity. Commissioner Wagner mentioned the value of that service now is well over $600,000. I think they should be called upon to pay their debt, sign a contract, or be willing to take on the service themselves as suggested.
Commissioner Klein?
Yes.
Since we're bringing that up again, do you want staff to prepare a letter to send to the city of Hagerstown? And I would just follow up with what you were all saying, that I know there's some things, I think it was intended to be in perpetuity. I think the city had agreed to that. I think there were actually some references in their minutes from that time saying that they thought that was gonna be, it was gonna be in perpetuity. But one of the reasons why we wanted a contract was so we didn't have this situation come up every year. We wanted a written contract. As Kirk said, a draft was presented to the city administrator. I wanted to see clarification from the commissioners. You wanted a letter prepared to send to them, sending them the draft contract, and also requesting payment of the money.
I would agree to that, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
All right.
I think it's important that we set deadlines.
Yes.
Every taxpayer has a deadline to pay their property taxes. They have a deadline to pay their water or sewer bill.
Right.
We need to set a deadline, and I think if those deadlines are not met, I think that triggers in my opinion, where we help transition that back to the city. Give them time to buy the equipment, find the location, hire the staff. But I think we need to set deadlines, and I think that's important. I don't want to let another issue skirt by us, especially to this magnitude, go unnoticed again. And I think if the city was under the impression, and again, if there's a document somewhere that says this was meant to be temporary, let me see it. But I don't think the city did intend for this not to be in perpetuity. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the decision they did last year when they decided to just end it for no other reason.
Right, and I've not seen such a document, and none. I don't think there is such a document that says it was not supposed to be in perpetuity. And one thing, and Sarah, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the bill that was sent out in May of 2020 was for the prior year, right? So the bill that'll go out in May of 2021 is for this year. So by the time, when we get to that point, that'll be 2 years. It'll be $800,000, but the services have already been provided. Right, then we'll be entering the next one. So it's not that we bill them ahead of time and they pay, but we provided the service all year long, and then we send them the bill. So the services have already been provided for almost 2 years without payment. So I agree with you. I just wanted you to.
Well, then what Wayne just said, I think we put a deadline. I guess we come up with a deadline. I guess when you mail the next one out?
May 1st.
May 1st.
All right.
First payment, the most current payment that's due, can we give them a 30-day deadline? And then 30 days from May 1st for the second payment? If not, that may trigger us giving those services, those responsibilities back to the city.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and also, what's interesting to me, many of the individuals that were involved in those discussions 10 years ago are still with county and city today. We know what was agreed upon, and it was in perpetuity. And back then, city acknowledged that that was a tremendous deal for them, and they know that they agreed. Many of the players are still involved with county and city government today, and we all know that it was meant for in perpetuity.
Yes, I think
And
Commissioner
we've never had
Baker-
any issues up to here just recently. And also, I might add, anytime a citizen is late with a bill or late with taxes, there's an interest charged. So why aren't they being charged an interest for defaulting in their payment? Or maybe they are, I don't know, but,
We do actually have an interest charge on the invoice. It's 1.5% per month.
okay.
And over the delinquent year, it's accumulated to about $50,000.
That's good to hear.
And to support your comments, as we had many of those people you mentioned,
Oh.
we're here for an open agenda item verifying those details.
We're still with the city and they're still with the county.
Okay, well, staff will put that together.
Okay, any other comments from commissioners? Go to staff comments. Scott Hobbs, I have you listed. Please come forward, introduce yourself and the matter.
Good morning,
Good
Scott
morning.
Hobbs, Director of Engineering. I'm here to request consensus from the board to submit the 2021 Transportation Priorities Letter regarding the Consolidated Transportation Plan of Maryland Department of Transportation. This letter is similar to last year's 2020 letter, and it was sent for your review last week. The project involves priorities such as Interstate 81 widening, Interstate 70 and Maryland 65 interchange improvements, aviation program, the transit program, various railroad projects, and we are seeking here for consensus to move forward with the letter as drafted.
Commissioners,
Any
consensus?
questions?
Yeah, it's fine. I
Okay,
agree.
thank you very much for
Thank
that
you.
letter.
Thank you, Scott.
We'll sign it today. Furthering staff comments, Deb Condo, we'll get Deb first.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I am here to request permission or a vote to approve for hire Melvin Fraley for the position of Traffic Control and Safety Supervisor. It's a grade 13, step 3, annual salary, $54,246.
Commissioners, thoughts, comments? Are you
Motion
okay?
to approve.
Approved, all in favor, aye,
Second.
aye.
Thank you. I'm also requesting approval to hire, excuse me, Misty Rosenberry for the position of Senior Accountant, position number 96. It's a grade 15, step 1, annual salary, $60,237.
Commissioners, everybody okay with that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Next, I'd like to request permission or approval to hire Thomas Allen Weber, and that is for the Deputy Director of Wireless Communications, position number 308. It's a grade 17, step 1, annual salary, $70,221.
Commissioners, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And last, I'd like to request approval to hire Robert Jacobs for the position of Operations Manager Fire, position number 1565. It's a grade 14, grade 14, step 1. I apologize, the information isn't on this. I'll have to get that for you.
Folks, those in favor of Mr. Jacobs, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Thanks
thank you.
very much.
And Krista, I will email that to you as soon as I get back to my office.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sarah Greaves, I think I have you up next for staff comments. Thank you, Deb Condo.
Thank you, Deb.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sarah Greaves, Chief Financial Officer. Here to inform you that the Governor has issued proclamation for March 2021 be dedicated as Purchasing Month. The role of purchasing in government has a significant impact on quality, efficiency, and cost control of products and services. Not only is our purchasing department available to assist other departments in the county to ensure quality standards for the procurement of goods and services, they also execute and administer contracts. They develop strategies for the future, support and monitor materials, and are at the forefront of our supplier relations. Rick Curry, our Director of Purchasing, and Brandy Noggle, the buyer, are both members of Maryland Public Procurement Association, also known as MPPA. Rick currently serves as the Vice President, and Brandy serves as the President of our local chapter in Maryland. Washington County's been a member of MPPA for over 40 years, and this association provides purchasing staff with valuable resources related to procurement, from best practices to networking opportunities. And with that, I just wanted to take a moment to extend my appreciation for our entire purchasing department and thank them for their daily efforts and dedication to government procurement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Krista for staff comments, but County Administrator, any comments from you?
Just a few. Thank you, President Klein, and good morning, Commissioners. And I'd also like to pass on my appreciation to our purchasing department on the purchasing week. I see Sarah asked if she could come in and recognize them today. And although we don't have them in the chambers, I hope they're listening, and please pass on our appreciation to them. Just two short things. County offices will be closed on Friday, April 2nd, of Good Friday. And also just want to remind everybody that County Commissioners will not meet next week on April 6th. The next meeting will be on April 13th. That's all I have.
Okay. If Krista has a report, we'll come back to her. If not, we're going to proceed with our scheduled agenda item. Mr. Downey, would you have anything for staff comments?
No comments.
Thank you. All right, we'll proceed then with our next agenda item, Dissolution of Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance Agreement. Joe Baker, please introduce yourself in the matter.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jill Baker, Director of the Department of Planning and Zoning. Presented here this morning is a request by the owner-developer of Shenandoah Estates, Section B, to dissolve an existing adequate public facilities ordinance agreement with the county. Shenandoah Estates is an 8-lot single-family subdivision located on the north side of Bakersville Road, just west of Sharpsburg Pike. While this is labeled as an adequate public facilities ordinance agreement, this document, like many others that were entered into at this time, includes an agreement related to excise tax. In this specific case, the developer has already satisfied the APFO school mitigation requirements via payment received by the county in 2008. So that's been satisfied. So the remaining issue that exists with this agreement is the excise tax. The developer is requesting to dissolve this agreement and revert back to the tax requirement in place at the time of the permit application. Currently, the excise tax rate stands at $1 per square foot for new residential construction. That's all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So to sort of summarize it, our current excise tax is $1 per square foot, and we're gonna, and the request is to dissolve, what were they paying excise tax before? When
They were paying $13,000 per dwelling unit. That's the agreement standard, is $13,000.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I think I understand it well. So to me, they shouldn't be forced to do anything at this point since they satisfied everything any worse than $1 per square foot. That's my thinking on it.
They satisfied the APFO part, the excise tax. This has come in before with other developments that at the time, things were kind of in a boom situation and they could afford to incorporate those costs into the development, but that is no longer feasible under today's.
But they're willing to pay the $1.
Yes, they are, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'd be okay with it at $1 square foot, like everybody else is paying.
Commissioners, any other comments? Motion approved.
Motion to approve dissolution of adequate facilities fees ordinance agreement for Shenandoah Estates.
there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Klein, I will be abstaining from this vote due to a real estate transaction underway with the current developer.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
3,
Abstain.
0, and 1. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Commissioners.
We'll back up here a second, go back to Krista for her staff comments. Krista?
Yes. I have the Washington County Board of Zoning Appeals requesting to reappoint Marvin Gower to serve a second full 3-year term from April 1, 2021 through March 31st, 2024. This is a paid board.
Commissioners, thoughts, comments, motion?
Motion to approve Marvin Gower.
Have first and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Krista, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll proceed to the next agenda item. Modification of loan documents for Blair Materials. Susan Small. Susan, please introduce yourself in the matter.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Susan Small, Director of Business Development. I brought forward to you today the support modification for the loan documents, where you have a name change for Blair Materials to iCode Northeast Inc., and to support the modification of the dates that are also within the agreement. Today's motion is to approve the loan documentation modifications, including Blair Materials Inc., name change to iCode Northeast Incorporated, as well as modifications to the dates within the loan documents. The modifications to the Blair Material documents, well, as you recall, in August of 19, Blair Materials purchased the former Radio Shack distribution center on Tandy Drive, and they anticipated expanding the 336,000+ square foot facility to just over 500,000 square feet. They had a capital improvement investment of approximately $70 million, and they were to create 40 jobs. Originally, the company expected construction to be completed and production to begin in spring of 2020. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Blair Materials realized a setback and in reaching construction and production goals. During this time, the company also formally changed their name from Blair Materials to iCode Northeast. For formality and legal purposes, we feel the loan documents should reflect the corrected changes to the corporate name as well as new dates as outlined. So we're going to change the date of December 31st, 2020 to June 2021, and a final report due June 2021, and return the signed agreement by July 2021. The termination of the loan offer, if not all completed, would be August of 2021, and receipt of the final occupancy would be due at the end of the year. Any questions?
Commissioners, comments? Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have first and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
We have a public hearing scheduled at 11. We're ahead of schedule, so if the commissioners would permit me, I'd skip down to our 11:30 agenda item, if that's okay. Susan, because at 11:30 would be
I thought so.
you and Sarah. So please introduce yourself in the matter, and we'll come back for the public hearing at 11.
Good morning.
Just so you know, Susan, I know it's lists Jonathan on here. Susan wasn't going to be here today, but she's here with us. So wherever it's supposed to says Jonathan, it's going to be Susan.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sarah Greaves, Chief Financial Officer.
And Susan Small, Director of Business Development.
Here, bringing before you Wessel Boulevard Road Improvement Budget Adjustment. This is really a formality issue, getting the budget associated with a previous agreement that was signed. In April of 2020, the Board of County Commissioners entered into an agreement with the City of Hagerstown. This represented public-private partnership for funding for Wessel Boulevard roadway infrastructure improvements that were necessary for the North Point Development Project. The county opted to utilize the State of Maryland Department of Commerce's Maryland Economic Development Authority Assistance Fund, also known as MEDAF, for a portion of the road work. The road work's estimated at $2.7 million. The MEDAF loan is estimated at $2 million, and any remaining balance would be paid from general fund county reserves. North Point's been moving very quickly on their development, and they are significantly ahead of their original timeline. The road work is nearly complete, and invoices for the improvements are coming into the county, and the county needs to establish a budget to provide payment for these invoices. And so at this time, we'd like to ask for your approval. And I apologize, under the recommended motion it says NA, but we are here to ask for the approval of the budget adjustment that is attached, is not attached, for $2.7 million, $2 million coming from the MEDAF loan and $700,000 from general fund reserves.
Susan, how many jobs is this project
This one was
slated to create?
estimated to be close to 2,000 jobs.
Close to 2,000.
It was nearly 200 million in investment.
Commissioners, comments, thoughts?
Do you need a motion? So you do.
Yes,
need a
sir.
motion.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I would make a motion to approve the budget transfer, and in doing so, I'd also add that not only does this help create 2,000 new jobs in Washington County, but it's also one of our roadways to our largest taxpayer in Washington County, the Valley Mall, in that area. So that certainly helps improve shopping and spending, I would imagine, and help boost our revenues at the other end of Waysville Boulevard as well. So I see it as helping two businesses out.
Commissioners?
And it's a good partnership with the city of Hagerstown, right?
Absolutely.
We're working very closely with the city of Hagerstown for those.
All right, I have a first. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the proposed motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the prescription specialty cost is,
We do have an outside person coming in for that from CBiz, Steve
are we
Dillman.
ahead, are they here yet, or?
I'm not sure, I'll have to go and
Okay, would
check.
you check? We'll wait
Sure.
for a moment, we'll pause. We are way ahead of schedule.
We may have to take a break if we can.
Okay. Well, Commissioners, we'll just take a 15-minute break while we catch up on time.
Well,
Yeah.
let her first see if that guy's out there, because
Yeah,
we don't even walk in here and we're not here.
well, that's a good point.
I know.
All right, let's take a 15, 20-minute break.
All right.
When Chris and I
Thank-
look at it, when we look at these, we try to estimate how much time.
That's
it
okay,
takes
that's no
on-
problem. We're just being
usually
very
ask-
efficient.
But, yeah, you're very efficient today, so we're way ahead.
All right, staff, you can go off the air, we'll be
That's the
back in
key
15.
word, today.